Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to demystify something that, let's be honest, often feels completely overwhelming, and that's installing a brand new operating system. Now, installing Windows 11 really doesn't have to be this intimidating, highly technical ordeal. If you stick with me, we're going to break this down so it feels just like following a really straightforward recipe right in your own kitchen.
So, are you ready for a fresh start? I want you to imagine the snappy performance, the sleek modern design, and those incredibly robust security features of a brand new operating system running perfectly on your machine. No more sluggish load times, no more lingering glitches from old software, just a really fast, reliable computing experience. That's exactly what we're aiming for today, and trust me, it is entirely within your reach.
All right, here is our roadmap. Number 1, preparation, specs and backups. Number 2, choose your installation path. Number 3, setup, drivers and software. And finally, number 4, troubleshooting and pro tips.
Let's dive right into Section 1, preparation, specs and backups. To properly prepare your new digital house, we have some core hardware requirements to check off. You'll need a 1 GHz or faster processor, at least 4 GB of RAM, and 64 gigs of storage space. But I really want you to pay close attention to that bottom row there, security. Windows 11 requires something called TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot. Think of these as the threshold guardians of your new system. They're basically mandatory hardware-level security features that protect your computer from advanced threats. So if your PC checks all these boxes, you're fully clear to proceed.
Okay, I'm actually going to slow down the pace here for just a second, because this next step, it might honestly be the most important part of this entire explainer. Before making any major changes to your computer, you absolutely must back up your important data. Seriously, whether you use an external hard drive, a simple USB flash drive, cloud storage, or even just copy your files over to another computer on your network, please just make sure you do it. This is your ultimate safety net for your documents, your family photos, your videos, the whole shebang. If anything goes sideways during the installation, you won't lose a single thing.
Moving right along to Section 2, choose your installation path. When it comes to choosing your adventure today, there are exactly 3 common methods to install Windows 11. That's it. It isn't some endless maze of complexity. It's just 3 distinct doors you can walk through, ranging from a super easy automatic update all the way to a total wipe-the-slate clean installation.
Let's define the most thorough option first. A clean installation completely erases everything on your drive and installs a totally fresh copy of Windows 11. Going back to our earlier analogy, this is exactly like moving into a brand new house where you start totally fresh. You're not just, renovating your current setup and slapping a new coat of paint over old wallpaper. You are literally tearing it down to the studs and building something perfectly pristine. So how do you actually choose? Well, on the one hand, we have the upgrade method. This keeps your files, apps, and settings completely intact. It is fantastic for standard home or office users who just want all the new features without any hassle. But on the other hand, we have the clean install method. And yes, it does erase everything, but it's the absolute best choice if you have a slow PC, if you're trying to get rid of a stubborn virus, or if you happen to be installing a brand new solid-state drive. Basically, you just choose the adventure that best fits your current situation.
Let's enthusiastically walk through the absolute easiest path first. Method 1, the Windows Update. Look at how incredibly simple these steps are. You literally just open your settings, click Windows Update, select Check for Updates, and then if Windows 11 is available, you just click Download and Install. Finally, you just restart your computer when prompted. That's really it. Your computer does all the heavy lifting right there from the settings menu, and every single one of your apps and files remains perfectly intact.
But hey, what if you're eager to get going and Windows Update just isn't showing the option yet? Well, that brings us to Method 2, the Installation Assistant. This is a brilliant, beginner-friendly alternative. All you have to do is download the official tool directly from Microsoft's website, accept the license agreement, and wait a quick moment while it runs a compatibility check on your PC. Once it gives you the green light, it downloads and installs. Restart your PC and boom, you boot right up into Windows 11.
Now, for our intermediate users looking for that totally fresh start, let's dive into Method 3. This one requires gathering your ingredients beforehand. First up, you'll need to connect an 8 GB or larger USB drive to your computer. Then, download Microsoft's Media Creation tool to essentially transform that flash drive into a bootable Windows 11 installer. Once it's ready to go, you'll restart your PC and repeatedly press your specific boot menu key. This is usually F12, F10, or the delete key during startup, just to tell your computer to boot from that USB drive instead of your normal hard drive.
All right, so once you successfully boot from the USB, you're going to hit the Windows setup screens. You'll pick your language, enter your product key, or just skip it to activate later, and then pay attention, because this is the vital part. You need to choose Custom Install. When it asks you where to install, you want to actually delete the old Windows partitions to erase that old data. Select the resulting unallocated space and click Next. That specific action right there is what guarantees that perfectly clean start we talked about earlier.
So let's do a quick reality check on timing. This process definitely takes a little patience. Depending on your specific hardware, you might spend the first 15 minutes literally just copying files. Around the 30-minute mark, your PC is going to restart automatically, and it's going to do it several times. I want to reassure you right now, this is completely 100% normal. Do not panic and absolutely, under no circumstances, turn off the machine manually. Just let it work its magic until you hit around the 45-minute mark and finally load into the setup phase.
And that brings us to Section 3, Setup, Drivers, and Software.
We have officially entered the after phase. The heavy lifting is done, and we're just putting the essential finishing touches on your new system to make it truly yours. When Windows boots up, it's going to ask for some basic info. Let's run through this personalization checklist really quickly. You'll select your country and keyboard layout, connect to your local Wi-Fi, and sign in with your Microsoft account. It's also going to ask you to create a snappy little security pin, configure your privacy settings, and optionally set up a OneDrive backup. This is honestly the fun part. This is where you help the computer turn this blank digital canvas into your own personalized workspace.
Once you finally hit that desktop, it is time for the post-installation polish. And don't skip this because it is absolutely critical for performance. First things first, go straight to Settings and check for any immediate Windows updates. Then, make sure you visit your computer manufacturer's website for the latest drivers. Updating drivers for your graphics card, your Wi-Fi, and your audio? That is literally the secret sauce for peak system stability and performance. Finally, install your essential software like Chrome or Office and go ahead and restore all those files we backed up earlier.
Let's wrap things up with Section 4, Troubleshooting and Pro Tips. Okay, even with a perfect guide, tech can sometimes be a little tricky. I want to normalize the bumps in the road here because almost any issue you run into has a surprisingly straightforward fix. For instance, what if you get an error saying your PC doesn't meet the requirements, even though you know for a fact it's a newer machine? Often this just means Windows can't see your security features. A failed compatibility check usually just requires a super quick trip into your computer's BIOS screen during startup, which by the way is basically just your PC's foundational hardware menu, just to flip a couple of security switches, specifically enabling TPM 2.0 and Secure Boot. Once those are flipped on, the installer will usually give you the green light right away.
Or hey, perhaps you're trying Method 3, but your bootable USB just doesn't appear when you restart. Do not stress. If your computer ignores the USB drive and boots up normally, it just means you need to adjust the boot order. Going back into the BIOS and moving USB drive to the very top of the boot priority list will immediately get you back on the right path.
Let's consolidate a few essential pro tips from our sources for a perfectly smooth experience. Now, we already hammered home the data backup, but please remember this. Keep your laptops plugged into power. Never, ever install an OS on battery power alone. If that thing dies mid-installation, it causes a huge headache. Also, if you have the option, installing onto a solid-state drive rather than an older hard drive will massively speed up the installation process and your day-to-day use. And finally, once everything is absolutely perfect, create a system restore point so you always have a known good state to return to. And just like that, we've made it to the end of the roadmap. Your new PC is completely ready. So, what will you create next? I really want to conclude with this thought because with proper preparation and these very straightforward steps, you've just unlocked a fast, secure, and highly reliable computing experience. I genuinely hope you're feeling accomplished, secure, and just incredibly excited to go explore everything your refreshed operating system has to offer. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy computing.